Greetings, gods and goddesses in training. Welcome back to the channel. It is Uncle Makara, all relations. Let's get started today. Just heading back from the gym. Just had a nice meal. So I am reflecting now before I get started with healing humanity and giving people flow state sessions where they come into more clarity within themselves. We've moved the podcast to today, so stay tuned for that. Having said that, let's get started by talking about what do you do when there's a big energetic shift or an upgrade happening. Perhaps it's a Schumann resonance spike. Perhaps it's one of your own timelines that you're dealing with that you want to drop an old mindset or habit. It could be through many different ways that you're upgrading right now. However, there might be side effects that you might notice as you upgrade. So one thing that you may notice is physical pressure or heat in the lower body. The best way to deal with this would be to ground yourself on natural surfaces like soil, grass, sand, things like this. You want to also practice hip opening yoga poses, okay? Just look up hip opening yoga poses. This is going to really help you with your grounding. Use different root chakra meditations, but then anchor them into your legs so that it's much more swift, that it's much more, emphasized in a certain aspect. Then you can also use self-massage tapping body work to get rid of tensions. If you have a throat tightness or a raspy kind of voice due to perhaps a throat chakra block, you could always chant Om or hum, okay? Or hum, okay? And of course, I love hydrating using herbal teas to open up the throat whenever it feels too raspy, too clogged, not enough expression. So when you channel your actual authenticity, you will notice that you're not just speaking from up here in the mind, you're speaking from this lower basal place, right? Your guts. When you say it with some guts, people feel it, right? So that's how you want to practice communicating as you notice these symptoms. So steam inhalations with essential oils. Okay, this is something that I really highly recommend, including having lots of electrolytes like coconut water and things like this. If you have a sinus congestion, which is very common, by the way, especially if you are a very heady person and your upper chakras are very strong, allow yourself to actually experience the symptoms instead of fighting against them, right? The more resistance that you create, like, oh man, I have a stuffy nose, then it becomes worse, right, in your mind. So you're gonna have to try to cut out the complaining and reframe it as if there's something downloading, something happening in the background, right? If you have joint soreness, you might do some yoga for the joint or the spine. You can also focus on your knees and wrists. You can try this golden pillar visualization where you connect heaven and earth. So pillar of light going up, pillar of light going down. That way you feel really, really strong, and then you're more attuned towards certain downloads. You can always speak to your body, okay? Don't forget to speak to your body, speak to your organs, speak to your neurotransmitters. I like putting a hand over the gut and my heart at the same time and just gently tapping with my eyes go rolling back to my head to create alpha waves. What does my body need right now? Dear subconscious mind, can you hear me? What does my body need right now? Okay, I got some instant answers, so you can try this, okay? Very, very powerful. You can also put on binaural beats, okay, through headphones. Take some delta wave power naps, okay? Play some delta waves through headphones, get into that sleepy state, nap it out. Put yourself in a theta wave so you can daydream, create these active imaginations. Put yourself into gamma waves for extreme focus or really deep flow sessions. Then, of course, you'll notice like the digestive changes and things like this happening. Intentional eating, right? Bless your food. Make that a sacred act. Just, consistent sacred act for you. Honor your body's cravings, right? Because it will know exactly what you're trying to latch onto. So you got to speak to it a little bit by understanding that maybe this candy or whatever brings me nostalgia for my inner child. From my childhood, right? Smudging crystals, sea salt soap, different sprays. I use this one for, let me show you guys. I have one which is for spiritual awareness, a natural mist for spiritual awareness. So what you can do is, now this smell, this mist is naturally in this environment, right? And it's going to help me balance my hemispheres and create coherence for me, because frankincense and myrrh balance out your inner feminine and your inner masculine. So this is what I use when I feel too like yang or I feel too yin. I just spray some frankincense and myrrh. But you got to know what works for you, right? What if you're allergic to some of this stuff, or you're like, dragon's blood incense isn't working for me and it's not giving me the results? Okay, then we have to change approaches. We're freestyle shamans, right? Don't stay stagnant. Don't stay stuck in one place and complain about, like, you know, sage sticks aren't working for you. Try to find what does and amplify it, move into it, right? I think it's really important for you to give yourself some time to feel something through fully, instead of just this half-assed attempts of like kind of feeling it, sort of just storing it in the back of your mind, sort of keeping it as a bookmark, right? Just set a timer, like from 7 to 8 today. That's my flow block on my calendar. I'm going to let go of this grief, right? I lost someone close to me in my life, and now I'm going to grieve through this pain. I'm going to put on some sad music. I'm going to move my body. I'm going to use body scans and somatic meditations and tapping and different things, and I'm going to get through it, right? I'm going to maybe allow my body to get into improvisational yoga asanas. Perhaps it'll go into some calisthenics movements. Who knows, right? I'm going to allow and trust my body to heal, because it is a better healer than my mind, okay? My body knows things. It has an ancient architecture and inner engineering, as Sadhguru would call it, right? There's an infrastructure that is internal to you, intrinsic to you. So make sure that you record your journey on this process too. At times it's nice to keep a little journal. I'm more of an auditory shaman, so I keep like little voice notes when it gets time. And it's also really healing to listen to your own voice. Listen to your own voice reading a passage that's very meaningful to you, right? Let's say you open a chapter of a book or some kind of a scripture, and you just read it out loud to yourself. Hearing your own voice is very soothing and calming. It also makes you feel very secure. That's why people who are insecure, you'll notice, they're trying to talk, because they like hearing the sound of their own voice. Not all of them, right? Not all of them. But there's certain individuals who like that, and that makes them feel secure. So why not use it to your benefit? Today, I remember, you know, I was going to the gym, and I was looking out the window. I was just kind of warming up in the treadmill, and I noticed that in front of me, there's this building that says Burger, right? Like B-E-R or whatever, burger spelled like that. And then I realized that's such a subtle, you know, programming, right? I'm trying to get healthy over here, and it's reminding me of burgers? Are you kidding me? Right? Like my mind could have gone there. But instead, what my mind tried to do, because it's so primed for frame maintenance and like natural evolution, what it tried to do is take the B and then the RG was different. Like I made the RG a different word, BRG, GER. So instead, in my mind, it kind of like my quasi-dyslexic mind, right, took these words and made it into a different prophecy for myself as I'm looking at it through a new lens, through a new filter. Now I'm not looking at a burger, be the RG, right? What in the world is an RG? Well, that's what you're going to have to come up with, right? What does it mean to you? And this is the beauty towards this kind of stuff. And it's really important in healing during spiritual upgrades, because you want to filter your mind to the highest timeline, right? So how would the highest timeline version of you see RG? Maybe RG for you is rooting, grounding. What if RG is rebel guide, right? And now I've just made a spiritual implication of this random building in front of me. This is how you want to brainwash and kind of trick your own brain towards activating its highest potential. Because you're going to see a lot of billboards you don't like. You're going to see a lot of emails you don't like. You're going to have to practice this reframing skill, right? But it's not so much reframing, it's a neutralization, right? To me, it's like I'm normalizing these certain things that I want in my life. So they become my baseline. You guys get that? And ask your guides for help during this time. Like, I really don't see enough people asking their guides for help, right? That's what they're there for. It's like, set up a time. If you're struggling with your heart and you're going through resistance, contact your heart chakra guide. Go through a guided heart chakra meditation, connect with your guide, get some answers back, journal afterwards, right? Do this kind of stuff because it's really going to be helpful. It's going to be helpful because you know yourself better than me, right? Salt baths, salt caves, all this stuff is great, okay? If you can get access to that, perfect. So we have a mantra that's charged with all 72 angels. I'm just going to read it out loud. Okay, listen to this. Vehu jelis ata lemia masla hezar ionith fadeig. When you speak this, you also visualize these golden codes like kind of streaming down from above, right? Above the sky, kind of these golden codes coming in. So this technique is very, very cool. You take a morphic field. So there's a lot of morphic fields. You can play them on YouTube. Okay, there's morphic frequencies, morphic doctor. There's many different channels that do this. You play a morphic tone and you let it charge for 15 minutes on a specific crystal or stone. Okay, then you take that particular crystal or stone and you place it somewhere on your meridian points that will access these hidden codes for you to help you heal the different emotions that are trapped in your organs. So I can take a sonic track, right, and set an intention on it. Like, let's say I want to charge this crystal with love energy. So the adepts have that map, right, of the Vitruvian Man that we use, particularly from shout out Dane Thomas for the clear your shit method. Listen, man, you're going to have different symbols and signs that show up during your spiritual upgrades, and it's your perception that's truly going to rule that, right? So let's just say that some random, thing happened to me at the gym. Like, I was coming out of the door and they were fixing something, zzz, right? And so I thought the guy said, come in and try to push the door, right? That's how I understood it. He was saying, stay out, right? And so he got pissed, whatever. I reconvened. I kind of laughed it off, like, that's kind of ridiculous, bro. I just misunderstood. I sat down, I stretched, did some brain gym, watched the breathing, let it wash it down through the feet. Visualize the red going out of the feet, right? Then, back out the door. So this kind of modification in the moment is very required for you to get into a good mindset, a good headspace about you dealing with spiritual upgrades. If you're like, oh man, spiritual upgrades again, I guess I gotta stay home for this week, then you're not really pushing yourself towards merging your spiritual world with your physical world, right? You're still not like refining that edge. You're sort of like, yeah, spirituality is for me. That's my time. That's me time. Spirituality is for me and others, right? But then you're creating this weird split, right? Where only when you're isolating, you're connecting to yourself, which is in some cases true, but you also connect to source through reflections, right? Other people, the separations, right? The splits, the fragments. So understand all of it. I really like to look at very, very relaxing imagery, right? Like I'll have like a mandala imagery open, and then I'll play like a guru's voice, like maybe I'll pull up like an Osho video or something like this. I'll play it in the background. I'll maybe slow it down or speed it up according to the beat of the tone. And it's kind of like I'm making meaning wave, right? In a strange way. So I'm playing that in the background, and then what I allow myself to do is certain mudras as I'm natural grounding to that. So these kinds of techniques are definitely next level, right? And if you can practice this consistently and understand, use the violet flame, use the violet flame, visualize the violet flame coming in through your crown, stopping at the edges of your hands and feet. Shake out your hands and feet as well, because what happens in fight or flight, the energy goes out to your extremities, okay? So I hope this helps you out today. Let's get it. Upward Spiral Gang. May we never be the same again. Let's crush it. We always do anyway, man. Come on, let's go. Us.